Over to our Seattle Mariners, who continue to be in the thick of the offseason. And, despite some moves being made and some upgrades taking place, a lot of the fan base is still upset with the lack of move and the lack of money spent in this offseason for the Mariners. So before we get into that and the winter meetings news, on December 5th, pitching coach Pete Woodworth was named Baseball America's MLB Coach of the Year. Woodworth, 34 years old, spent the 2022 season in his third year as the team's pitching coach. The Mariners pitching staff went 90-72 with 40 saves and a 3.59 ERA, setting a single season franchise record with 1,391 strikeouts on the year. Mariners manager Scott Servais said Woody has done an incredible job of helping our pitchers get the most of their ability. Along with our bullpen coach Trent Blank, they have created an awesome environment around our pitching staff with the communication skills and baseball acumen. Woodworth oversaw a Seattle pitching staff that featured a starting rotation that posted the second most quality starts in the American League with 79, and a bullpen that led the American League in WHIP 1.08. Opponent batting average with 2.07 and hits per 9 innings 6.72, in addition to a strikeout to walk ratio of 3.22. As the youngest pitching coach in MLB, Woodworth helped Seattle's pitching staff improve as the season went on, leading the majors in lowest average exit velocity at 87.4 miles an hour during the second half of the season, per Baseball Savant. From August 23rd to September 14th, the Mariners starting rotation went 11-3 with a 1.68 ERA, with 14 walks and 114 strikeouts in those 20 starts, setting a franchise record for the lowest starters ERA over a 20-game stretch. So it's safe to say, with all of those numbers and stats that I just threw at you, that just as if you're a fan of the Mariners and you pay attention to that sort of thing, Pete Woodworth's value to this ball club is incredible. Just, you talked about Trent Blank and the bullpen coach, and the bullpen as a whole, the whole Los Bomberos thing. That pitching staff, and I talk about coaching staff, not necessarily the players, there has been able to take a bunch of players over the time that Woodworth has been here in this organization and really help them improve, take it to another gear. And some of them resurrect their careers. You look at Chris Flexen, a guy that was in the KBO and came to this Mariners team and was a key starter for them in 2021 and provided key innings this past season. Paul Sewald was a guy who was kind of looked at as an outcast. Has been able to take the young pitchers of Logan Gilbert and George Kirby to another level as they've reached the MLB sort of stage. So it's really cool to see Woodworth get acknowledged for this, and appreciate him liking our post about it on Instagram. This one, not too much of a surprise here, adding to his impressive trophy case after just year one. Julio Rodriguez was named to the All-MLB second team, which was a fan and player voted thing. So, I mean, I could sit here and throw more of the numbers of Julio at you, but we've done that as he's been given several Rookie of the Year awards, given the real Rookie of the Year award, etc., being named to the All-Star game. We could get to that, but impressive to see Julio just continue to add to his essentially stacked trophy case after just 1 year. Now we get to the notes from the winter meetings, which a lot of people have been waiting for in terms of free agents, spending money, adding, and just generally improving this Mariners team. Scott Servais said that the Mariners are currently in discussions with Luis Castillo and Nelson Cruz. Cruz is currently the general manager of the Dominican Republic team for the World Baseball Classic. Those two talking about whether Castillo will pitch or not in the World Baseball Classic. Like most managers, Servais would prefer that his team's ace does not pitch in the World Baseball Classic. That one I'd say it's a little bit more lighthearted, but I don't know if it's more serious than not. Jerry DiPoto reiterated that they would like to add at least one or even two hitters to their current roster. A right-handed bat that could play corner outfield would be ideal, or a player that could play the corner infield spots, considering that the team lost Carlos Santana to the Pittsburgh Pirates. When asked if they were nearing the goal line or in the red zone on closing any deals for those position players of need, President of Baseball Operations Jerry DiPoto joked that they weren't past the 50-yard line yet. Adding a player that could play the corner infield spots would be a nice luxury, since the Mariners aren't quite positive on Evan White's health and have no cover for Ty France if he were to get injured, like they did last year with Carlos Santana. DiPoto confirmed that utility player Dylan Moore will undergo surgery for a core injury that has nagged him since the end of the season. Per sources, Moore is in Philadelphia at the Vincere Institute to undergo the procedure in the coming days. It's a 6 to 8 week recovery. DiPoto, who found out about it recently, does not think it's an overly concerning piece of information and is expected to be full strength for the start of spring training. So just looking at that there, it's interesting. The most interesting tidbit there from DiPoto was adding 1 or 2 hitters to this roster at least. They talked about the corner outfield, with that left field sort of being it's not established necessarily. I know you've got a couple players that could fit in there, Jared Kelenic, Sam Haggerty, and then the corner infield as well, with being able to give guys. So Abraham Toro's gone with that trade for Colton Wong. And Carlos Santana is gone. So, yeah, you really do need someone who's going to be able to play the corner infield. And obviously, you'd like that to be someone who can contribute on the offensive end as well. So, technically, then the second most important piece of information is that DiPoto basically he says that this team isn't anywhere close on a deal to add to those positions of need. I've been lied to before by these coaches and staff members, with the media quotes, but I don't know. It's really interesting to see. I know a bunch of people have wanted the Mariners to make certain moves for some of the bigger name players in this offseason, but that just hasn't happened. And a bunch of these players are honestly being overpaid. So I'm okay with that. But obviously, the urgency to be able to upgrade your team, with Houston still remaining a tough team to play in your own division. The Rangers are adding pieces. It's a critical time, and you'd like to improve as well. So some other sort of notes here. On the 7th of December, the team signed relief pitcher Casey Sadler to a minor league deal. He missed all of last season with a shoulder injury. His 2021 season is what got people so excited, and that's something that you can add to Pete Woodworth's praise. Sadler, in his 2021 season, pitched 40.1 innings, had a 0.67 ERA, 37 strikeouts, and an opponent batting average of 1.43. So if the Mariners are able to get that Sadler back, it's a huge addition to this bullpen, something that a lot of people were hoping to see in the 2022 bullpen, but the shoulder injury obviously held Sadler out. Also on the 7th, in the Rule 5 draft, the team selected right-handed pitcher Chris Clark from the Cubs AAA affiliate. Last year, Clark struck out 110 batters with 25 walks and 120 and a third innings pitched last season between high A and double A for the Cubs farm system. So taking that all into consideration, I would say be patient, but I know a lot of the fan base doesn't want to do that. I know we're in December. Pitchers and catchers don't report until February 14th if the current, timeline sticks. But I do understand that, seeing a bunch of these moves, and I'm going to rattle off a bunch of them, hurts. And especially considering that the Mariners did lose outfielder Mitch Haniger to free agency. I respect it. I understand it. With the move for Teoscar Hernandez, I was kind of leaning towards the fact that maybe this team is, looking in another direction, and I was right, unfortunately. So we'll look at free agency and the Mariners missing out on some of these players. Mitch Haniger signed a 3-year, $43.5 million deal with the San Francisco Giants. So Mitch returns home, gets to stay on the West Coast. Outfielder Masataka Yoshida signed a 5-year, $105.4 million deal with the Boston Red Sox over pay. Outfielder Aaron Judge signed a 9-year, $360 million deal with the Yankees. Judge saying he didn't want to surrender his legacy over dollars. I still don't think the Yankees are going to win the World Series anytime soon, but hey, do you, buddy. Shortstop Xander Bogaerts signed an 11-year, $280 million deal with the San Diego Padres. Outfielder Brandon Nimmo signed an 8-year, $162 million deal with the New York Mets. And Kodai Senga starting pitcher signed a 5-year, $75 million deal with the New York Mets, probably the only non-overpaid deal amongst a bunch of those currently taking place in free agency. So, again, it's going to be tough. I understand seeing a bunch of these players sign to different teams, but with the amount of money that's being shelled out, Jerry Dipoto has also basically said that we're not going to just spend to spend. We're going to make smart decisions for the future of this franchise, in addition to, players that are going to help in the current state of where this team is, and they don't want to overpay and sacrifice resources that would help this team going forward for a right now situation. So I understand that, but I understand also the sort of need for urgency in this free agency period. On December 6th, a report came out that the MLB used 3 types of balls over the 2022 season, despite Commissioner Rob Manfred saying that they had to use 1 type of ball. A SABR award-winning physicist says that the evidence indicates that 3 different baseballs were used throughout the 2022 seasons. A quote-unquote Goldilocks ball was used the most for 3 types of games: specialty games, All-Star weekends, special promo games, the postseason, and New York Yankees games. Isn't that kind of funny? On December 11th, it was announced that Brian Reynolds' price tag is Soto-like. The Pirates reportedly want a lot for their disgruntled outfielder, who executives describe as unlikely to move. I know that this is Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates, pretty solid outfielder, has some defensive struggles, is someone that a lot of people want via trade for the Mariners, considering also that left field spot. But when you talk about his price tag being similar to that of Juan Soto, no, that shouldn't be considered serious, and the Mariners should not entertain that type of deal. You don't want to, no. I know that that's something that people are interested in, and if somehow Jerry Dipoto were able to pull off a move that doesn't hurt this team too much, sure, go ahead. But I don't see that happening. So anyway, I digress. Let's move on. So normally, I'd say nothing's looking ahead here, but just so you get an idea of how long it'll take before we see Mariners baseball again, pitchers and catchers report on February 14th of 2023. So put that in the calendar, and we'll look ahead to that.